Hi, TJ Milian here on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, and in the Sam Ash Spotlight today we have Richard Patrick. Welcome, Richard.
It's good to be here at Sam Ash.
Thanks for joining us here. I got to say, the new album is great, and right from the first intro of Mother E, the sound, takes us back to the days of Short Bus, your initial, your first album, along with maybe a sound of some of the early electronic and industrial pioneers.
Yeah, like Ministry.
Yeah,
Skinny Puppy. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely loving that sound. So, where did the idea for the sound of the album come from?
Well, I've loved electronics, and for the last couple of years, we worked with a producer, and he was more of a rock guy. And so I called up the label and I just said, listen, I feel like I'm losing connection with like the artist that I was when I was free to do it, what I wanted. And they were like, well, what do you want? I was like, let me produce the record. Let me work with a vast amount of my friends, and let me just enjoy it and not have to answer to someone who's going to try and sculpt each song into like a rock radio friendly kind of approach. And they were like, great, go do it. And so I walked away with a record that's way more dangerous and fun and weird and strange than anything I've done in the last like 5 or 6 years. So I was really happy with the result, and it was just basically, guitar wasn't a priority. It was, I wrote with it, and I enjoyed writing with the guitar. It's kind of like if a piano player writes with a piano. It's all about notes and chord progressions. But after the guitar was recorded, it was like stuck away, and then we just added all kinds of cool sound design and stuff like that. So that was pretty much the deciding factor. It's what sounds good here,
And the first instrument you picked up, was that the guitar?
Yeah, well, the guitar is my staple. That's like my thing. That's what I'm used to. But as soon as you get your chords, you can replace all that stuff with incredible amount of vast. We did the song "Welcome to the Suck," and I wrote it on guitar, and it's just 3 chords. And then I was like, okay, start over, and I think we put like distorted brass as the chord progression. It was really cool. So yeah, a lot of experimentation and a lot of just like the opposite of whatever someone was doing, like whatever is on the radio now. It's just like, let's just go the exact opposite of what everybody's doing.
What was your go-to guitar early in the process?
Oh, it's my Schecter. I have 2 custom Schecters that were made for me. It was like down to the wood. I chose Koa, and I chose I think it was bird's eye maple for the neck. Everybody thinks it warps, but it doesn't. It doesn't warp. It's perfect for me, and it's like rock solid. And then I used a sustainer pickup as my main feedback sound emulator or whatever, and yeah, my Schecters and my G&L. So
are you using a lot of amps in the studio, recording direct?
Blackstar is my main go-to amplifier because it covers so many different. It has just a variety of sounds that you can just instantly grab. It's a traditional kind of, distorted channel. It goes in between the British sound and the Californian sound, as they call it. That's also the workhorse on the road. You can push that guitar amp to the limit, and it works amazingly. You can drop it from I don't recommend it, but you can drop it from like 10 feet and it still works. So that's like the main thing, Blackstar. In the studio, iRig, like people forget that like in the early days of Filter, we were going out of our way to get amp simulators. We were like trying to find an easier way to get a guitar amp sound without having to actually buy a microphone and stick it in front of a speaker and have to do the traditional studio route. We were way more into like cheating and just doing it wrong, and using bizarre techniques. We love shortcuts and tomfoolery, as it were. We're not puritanical about our what board we use and what microphone. It doesn't mean, it's honestly, the latest technology is it's your ears that decide everything. It's your creativity that decides everything. It's not when this guitar was made, during the 50s, and like you have to get it at a certain point. Like that stuff doesn't mean anything to us. We've always been like, how many more gigabytes can we get, as opposed to what Soundcraft board we should use for this, that, and the other. The other thing is drums. That's another thing. Just go into a decent studio for like a day and force your drummer to be awesome and like practice on his own time and like just cheat. Like most bands, they have to get into. It's like we all saw Sound City with Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl, amazing, but he's Dave Grohl, right? Like he's the greatest drummer in rock, right? So for us, like we're totally like program the drums as much as possible. It's all about breaking the rules, especially the studio rules.
Speaking of the studio, there's a lot more electronics on this record. Where did you find your synth sounds?
A lot of plugins. A lot of really great companies that we just kind of like made friends with, and we were like, send us everything you have, and a lot of stuff like that. It's easier when everything's in the box, and it's so quick. That's why, honestly, this record didn't take long to make at all. In the old days, it would take a long time. We would be painstakingly going through everything and trying to make it work, and now it's right there. So for me to kind of return to the industrial world, it was really just about creating some kind of music, writing lyrics that had a lot of impact for me, and singing it as quickly as possible and not really spending a lot of time on it. That was the approach of this record.
And you got some amazing guitar solos on this record too.
Actually, Umi Capello, yeah. Umi Capello is an amazing award-winning guitar player from Australia. I can't remember what award he won, but he's like this amazing guitar player. He literally can play anything on the guitar. And so he started doing solos, and I was like, look, if you're gonna do a solo, if you're gonna really go there, do some Eddie Van Halen stuff that like is just over the top, crazy.
Like Pride Flag.
And he's all like doing this stuff, and to me that's the biggest that is so done with so much sarcasm and so much. To me, it's just like hysterical, because listen, when Trent Reznor and I were in Cleveland being beaten up by those very same Eddie Van Halen wannabes, in the hair bands, and what's up, dude? Why are you cutting your hair so short? Like, what are you trying to do? Be some kind of weird alternative band, man? What do you, and to actually have a song where it breaks down into that couldn't be the most punk rock moment of like the career. So it's actually a lot of fun. Umi can rip out a solo in seconds and just be awesome at it. So some of it was very sarcastic, like some of it was like I was kind of laughing with him. My solos are actually my favorite because you can't even tell it's a guitar. It's so avant-garde. There's so much ring modulation on it, and it's so crazy that it's like, and this is how it is, like for me, it's like, this is my moment of like, and this is how you should really do a solo, because, there's just no limit to how crazy and noisy and wrong, and it's me with a microphone smashing it into the guitar, and like sounded great, and it had just as much musical statement as anything else. So there's all kinds of wild solos on this record.
And back to the Nine Inch Nails days, breaking off and starting your own band. How tough was that?
It was awesome. I mean, we lived in a time when, if you were pissed and you had a lot to say, you could get signed and do it. Nine Inch Nails was a really great experience. I toured with the band for 3 or 4 years, and I had a wonderful time. But when you walk your record into someone's office and you say, I think I got something too, and I didn't want anyone to know that I was from Nine Inch Nails. I just kind of came in under the radar with a manager that was really proud of what I had done, and they offered me a record contract, and it was like one of those moments in life where you can't believe you can't believe that it's happening. And so after that happened, we took it to a few more record companies, and they were like, same thing, like, yeah, we'll sign this immediately. And it was like, awesome. And then they're like, we heard you're in some band, like, are you in some band? I was like, I'm quitting Nine Inch Nails. And they're like, what? Really? That's awesome. You should. So it was very encouraging. Best decision I ever made. I have toured the world for 25 years. This is my 7th record.
The new album is fantastic.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And we are here today. Tonight we have a meet and greet, and the record release party is downstairs. We're about to get to with the fans that are here waiting to check out the album a day before it's released. How did you pick Sam Ash music for today?
Because you guys are awesome.
Love that. So thanks for doing it for the fans, and also on a personal note, I want to thank you. I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, it was probably about 15 years ago, I went to a Jane's Addiction concert not having a ticket. Yeah, this was at an arena in Chicago.
Yeah!
Do you remember?
I do. I
had
think
no
I do.
ticket. I had no ticket, and I was standing there. I couldn't get in the show. There were no scalpers. I just had no way to get in, and the band was about to start. You had an extra ticket, and you offered it up to me, and I just want to thank you again for that.
Hey, no problem. I remember that. Yeah.
So anyway, let's get down to the fans.
You have to spread the wealth. You know what I'm saying?